Chapter 3, the Athens Park Girls. Chapter 3, September of '74. You know my homeboy Percy Jackson, the one who started Bounty Hunters, gave the name Bounty Hunter in the 8th grade, 1971, 1972. He was only 14 years old. When 1973 came in, he introduced the Bounty Hunters to the Athens Park Boys. He have a relative that is original Park Boy, and they used to go over there and kick it with his relatives, and they even hooked up one time to put work in on the Main Street Crips together. Back in 1973, they rolled down Main Street and gave Main Street Crips all hell, the Bounty Hunters and the Athens Park. Now, I don't know what made the Bounty Hunters mess with a little gang like the Main Streets. I would think they would ride down on something like the West Side Crips. But they went on Main Street because Main Street runs through Athens Park hood. So the Bounty Hunters just assisted them. Junior Thomas, Percy Jackson, and the Bounty Hunters handling their business with the Athens Park Boys. And they started even kicking it with us on a regular in 1973. So fast forward, here it is now, 1974, I run into some Athens Park girls in Nickerson Garden one night. And they asked me to walk them all the way to Imperial Highway and San Pedro. And I dropped them off right there, walking right by Gompers. And they went down San Pedro and made it to Athens Park, all the way to like 120 something. Probably 126, 127 in San Pedro is where their hood starts at, on San Pedro. So I end up messing with a female from Athens Park named Regina Morris, or Norris. And they call her Little Dark from Athens Park. She used to mess with Michael Ford brother named Stinky Ford. And I end up messing with her to the point where I even got into a fight with him behind her, coming over to Athens Park, creeping on her like that. She had a thing for me because she felt that, hey, she even made a statement one day saying I look like Stinky Ford. I didn't like it, but hey, it is what it is. I guess she was attracted to me because she was in love with him, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, the bottom line is I end up in Locke High, and I seen her in Locke High marching with her homegirls, Susie Q. You know what I'm saying? That's Art's sister. She's the original Athens Park girl leader. And they were wearing bomber jackets, going through Locke High like they owned the place. And I even got into it with her one time. Yes, Regina, 126 or 127 off of Main Street. She was very upset at me because I stopped coming by her house. So one day at Locke High, she was on one side of the fence line on 111 between San Pedro and Avalon, and I was inside the school on the fence line talking to her. And she had a pistol on her, talking about shooting me because I wouldn't come over her house no more. She started hating me because she felt I hit and run, I guess. But that wasn't the case. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't want to keep going over to her hood. You know what I'm saying? And she was talking about doing something to me, and she had different lanes all behind her. They coming from Gompers and everything to back her up. I seen Peabody and a gang of more different lanes posted up behind her. I didn't even know that was Peabody until later on down the line, but they was all in our business because Park and Lane was together. That's right, I said Park and Lane. They didn't say Athens Park back in the days. They used to holler out Park, just like that. It wasn't no APB, it was only Park and Lanes. And those are the ones I knew from Athens Park and different lanes. The real ones, Joe Robinson, Little Art, Milo, Little Louie. It was a gang of, oh yeah, my boy Black Glove, he was there. You know what I'm saying? And the lanes, they was right there too. You know, Rubber Leg, Peabody, Choo Choo, and it's a host of them, man. And I was the only bounty hunter that was at Locke High. And it made me feel uncomfortable because I'm thinking they might jump me behind this female. And it turned into one thing or another where they realized that, hey, we might as well hook them up with us. So I end up rolling with the different lanes and at this park, thanks to Regina Norris, the original park girl who tried to get me jumped on, but it turned out that I started ending up going over Peabody house and hanging out with his family members. I even spent the night over his mama house on 109th off of Fig, between Fig and Denver. So she really did me a favor by introducing me to the park and lanes. So that was all good. Even though my boy Percy Jackson, he was the original who first hooked the original parking lanes and bounty hunters up. Well, not different lane, but the Athens Park Boys and bounty hunters first hooked up with Percy Jackson. So when I started hanging out with them, I started seeing Percy Jackson in their neighborhood. I was surprised. I started seeing a little bit in their neighborhood. A little bit is my homeboy. He's the one who broke in the house and stole a 30-30 Winchester rifle, brand new. Junior Thomas was tearing up the East Side Crips all down Central with that 30-30 rifle. That 30-30 rifle even tore off the Carver Park something. You know what I'm saying? That 30-30 rifle wasn't no joke. Brand new too. That's the reason why Raymond Washington wanted the bishops to kill or do something to Junior Thomas. You know what I'm saying? Because Junior Thomas was handling his business on that east side and he was setting them on fire. And they must have went to complain to Raymond that this dude, Junior Thomas, is putting work in on us. He shot Anthony Baylots also. Yeah, Junior wasn't no joke. He was sniping with that 30-30 Winchester.
Real quick, before you continue, can you tell me what year was it when you met Peabody and what was he like when you first, crossed paths with him?
When I met Peabody, I was walking through Locke High one day and I saw a guy writing on the wall a building or a door inside the lunch area. And I was curious. He was the only one out there in the lunch area writing on the wall or the door. I walk up and I look to see what he was writing, and he wrote Mafia Lane. And I went to Mafia Lane, and I asked him, what is that? And he was like, yeah, the different lane thing. And I was like, whoa, man, okay. And he asked me where I was from. I told him bounty hunter. Come to find out, his name is Preach from Mafia Lane. Guess what? True history. Before there was different lanes, there were Mafia lanes from 112th and Figueroa. Before there was different lanes.
What year?
1972 or 3. There was Mafia Lane. And then it went from 112th and spread it around all the way up to 120th, all the way down to 105th. Everything became different lane or Midlow Lane. But that 112th Street, just like the Nickerson Garden, was the headquarters.
Was the 105 freeway there?
No, there was no 105 freeway.
Okay, so it just was all the way through.
It went all the way through, all the way through. You know, that 112th crossed Imperial to 120th, which became Midlow lanes, and going back towards Century is different lanes also. They call their street D6, better known as Dangerous 6, 106. Peabody in them street is called K9, which means Killer 9, because they got all the murders on their streets. Those Killer 9s, that's the street Peabody and his crew is from. But 112th Mafia Lane is the origin of the different lanes.
Now, I wonder if they're tied into the Crenshaw Mafias that came out in the 80s, because later the Denver Lanes and the Crenshaw Mafias had a thing together.
Pure coincidence. That's all that is. Pure coincidence. You know what I'm saying? Just like BH, it means what? Beverly Hills. I'm not from Beverly Hills, I'm from Bounty Hunter. So that's a coincidence. I wish I was from Beverly Hills. I'd be wearing the BH for clothes all around. What they call them? Louis Vuitton and all them nice clothes Beverly Hills got. So it was just a coincidence. That's all it was. Nothing but a coincidence.